All right, Lieutenant Colonel Eric Henderson, Henderson. So at about 9:14 p.m. last night on Gettysburg at Hillcrest, we had a very tragic traffic crash occur where we lost 4 citizens of our community in a very tragic manner. So obviously this is very devastating for the family members, very devastating for the community, very devastating for our department, our officers who had to respond to the scene. So at this point in time, it's still early on in our investigation, so there's a lot that we don't know. We do know that the car was likely traveling southbound on Gettysburg and at some point lost control, likely at an excessive speed. Our officers, our traffic services unit is still following up on this situation now. We also had some situation earlier on Gettysburg where we had officers out at a location due to vehicles likely engaged in some street racing, and these are issues we've had problems with in our community for the last several years. So I cannot stress that this is a community issue, a community concern, and as the police department, we're part of that community. We need assistance addressing these issues. We're losing far too many young people in our community due to accidental deaths, and I just want to highlight that. We're going to continue our investigation, try to get to the bottom as to what caused this incident, but it's important that our folks slow down on the roadways. When they see an officer attempting to make a traffic stop, that they pull over and adhere to that traffic stop, because we want to ensure that safety is top of mind for everyone. We are working on some long-term strategies to address these issues. We're in conversations with our Public Works Department, Traffic Engineering, looking at ways for traffic calming type strategies on Gettysburg. But if anyone has any information on this, please call 333-1359 or Crime Stoppers if you wish to remain anonymous, which is 222-STOP. So at this point in time, I'll open it up to any questions.
So you mentioned that there was street racing in a somewhat close area. Do we think that this is related to that in some way?
We don't know that at this time. I don't want to speculate, but I can tell you over the last several years, we've had numerous complaints, not just in West Dayton, but also in East Dayton, and actually in the region, dealing with some of these groups that are coming together, either doing donuts in the middle of the street, parking lots, property damage. These are residents of our community. You know, loved ones know who they are. So I think it's important that it's just not a police issue. It's important for parents, family members to stress to their loved ones that this activity is dangerous, and we don't want anyone to lose their lives. We want everyone that's on the roadways to come to and from and arrive home safely. The other thing I want to point out is we're at 14 traffic fatalities this year. We had 8 last year at this time. That's a 75% increase in traffic fatalities. This is an issue in our community. 11 of those have occurred in West Dayton. So we're asking everyone to slow down, adhere to traffic laws, and hopefully we can minimize these activities.
The victims in the crashes, do you have their ages, or were any of them children?
No, there was at least one 15-year-old that was in the car that was a survivor. So thank God that she survived this tragic incident. But that's the only thing that I can confirm right now. The coroner's office is still in the middle of identifying several of the individuals that were in the car so that we can ensure proper notification is made of family members.
There have been recent television shows about street racing. Do you think that's causing the influx of people kind of mimicking what they see on television?
I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but all I can say, I mean, there's video out on social media where we're seeing it. We're putting together strategies. We've had operations with the assistance of Ohio State Highway Patrol, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, Trotwood Police, where we come together to try to have operations to address these issues. We have more planned, and we are going to be aggressively trying to focus on these issues. Again, I cannot say this is specifically related to that, but I can tell you those are issues that we have had on Gettysburg and in other communities or other areas within our community.
Is there any fear of like, it could possibly relate to like intoxication?
We don't know that at this time. That will be part of the investigation that comes about. That's why it's important if anyone has information as far as where they were coming from, where they were headed to, please call us at 333-1359.
This was a one vehicle crash?
Yes, it appears it was a one vehicle crash only. We don't have information that another vehicle was involved. But again, that's why it's important that, that any information is shared. And I can point out too that we do utilize technology to try to assist with traffic enforcement. There's photo enforcement cameras that we have deployed throughout our community. 2 of those are on Gettysburg to try to slow down traffic. But I think it's important that I also highlight, last year we had over 500 vehicles flee from our officers from attempted traffic stops. And a lot of times these vehicles will drive excessive speeds through our community, running red lights, going through, straight through turn lanes, and nearly causing traffic crashes. And this is even after we discontinued the attempts to make a traffic stop. So it's important that our officers also have technology to help identify these individuals, technology such as license plate readers and things like that, so that we can identify these people and potentially cite them at a later time or take additional enforcement action. So we need to utilize technology as force multipliers in this community. You know, our officers are busy going call to call a lot of times. They do a great job with the resources that they have, doing a very difficult job in this community. And it's important that our community supports our officers by giving us the tools that we need to be successful.
I know it's still very early in investigating this crash and trying to get witness statements and everything to go, but do we have any indication that this car, I talked to a witness that said it ran a red light, went up onto a curb, and then when it got off of the curb is when it seemed to lose control. Do you have any indication that that might be true, that they may have gone up on the curb and then lost control after that?
That I cannot answer at this time. Again, our traffic services folks are well-trained and versed. They go to multiple schools where they're able to go back and reconstruct some of this information. So we're working through that process now. These investigations take time. I mean, they're able to get information from the vehicle as far as the likely speed, you know, whether or not there were safety restraints being worn, et cetera. So we're working through that process now.
And right now it's just excessive speed. We don't have an idea if it's like 70 and up or anything like that?
No, I can't speculate on that at this point.
How many people were in the vehicle?
There were a total of 5 people in the vehicle.
Okay.
So 4 of them are deceased.
Do you know the current injuries of the one person that survived?
I hear in stable condition and will likely survive.
Just want to make sure, you said that there were reports earlier in the night of activity happening. This was not a police chase? No,
this was no, officers were not in the area that I'm aware of at that time. So our officers responded to the area after being called. I can tell you that when there were officers driving to the scene, they saw, it was reported about 100 vehicles likely leaving the area of Gettysburg and Free Pike from the areas where we've had problems. If you actually check the street there, you'll see evidence of vehicles doing burnouts there. So when I go back to community, I think it's important for businesses to cooperate with us also. There's a car wash in that location where a lot of this activity is occurring. We've had conversations with that business, and it's important that they come to the table also and help us with additional resources to help curtail some of these issues. There's also another business located right on the border, a parking lot that's used a lot for this activity of doing burnout. So again, I mean, I can't stress enough, our officers are out there day in and day out doing a difficult job. We need the community to support us on this effort.
So if a community member sees this going on, they can call, I mean, can they call anonymously? I know a lot of people are afraid to call.
Yes, they can call 333 COPS or non-emergency number or Crime Stoppers if they wish to remain anonymous. But if it's active activity and if it's life-threatening, 911. If it's something that they just want us to know about, 333 COPS. If it's something just information as far as you know, who's doing some of this activity or who's planning it. Crime Stoppers would be a good resource. And I know I've said a lot, but this also goes back to ATVs too. We're seeing ATVs on our roadways. Those are illegal. Those cannot be on our roadways. They're coming and going from somewhere. If we can get information through Crime Stoppers with where these things are being stored, so that we can follow up on those investigations also, that would be helpful.
You said you said there's been 14 fatalities compared to 8 last year.
Yes.
With that current surge, is there any type of message you may like want to say to current drivers out there, just be maybe wary or aware of other driving habits?
Yeah, just obey the speed limit, watch cell phone use, you know, distracted driving, and obviously, you know, alcohol are a factor in some of these too. So if you've had too many drinks, it's important to use a designated driver. I know on holidays, the prosecutor's office will put out information about drive safe programs, so utilize those resources. But I think it's important for people just to obey the speed limit. And again, this is just not specific to Dayton. Some of these issues are regional and even nationwide. So it's really a lack of concern for driving safety. So, and that's what we need to focus on. But it's going to take more than the police department to solve these issues.
And people watching a drag race is just as guilty as the drag racers, correct?
Or that's why they're doing it. That's why it's contributing to the issue. So, I mean, if they're not there watching it, it's likely not going to happen.
Very good.
All right.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.